Hello and welcome back to the Cronecast at the Rising Moon. My name is Elaine, and on this channel I do yes and no tarot, I do predictive tarot, I do active magic, candle magic tarot, and that is what I have for you today. I also do the Spirit Guide Weekly every week, usually broadcast live on Friday afternoons. Please consider joining that for me. Before we get started, if you could hit that like button and the subscription button, it helps the channel. I'd really appreciate it. The subscription button is over there. All right, so today I have for you Active Magic Candle Magic Tarot, and these candles have all been anointed with the same blend of conjure oils from a new shop today called Cauldron Crone Conjure. I have empath protection, I have vision oil, I have healing oil, and I have peace in the home oil on all of the candles. They all have the same blend. And today we are talking about how to do your shadow work, how to heal your formative damage, or also how to heal your inner child. We all have formative wounds that we incur during childhood. Even if you had a great childhood, there are things that will hold you back until you go back, look at it, release the pain, and try to heal the wound to help live your best life. Now, some of us, and if you're in my collective, you may have had a very traumatic childhood. Like energy attracts like energy. A lot of people in my collective were victims of multiple forms of abuse. And when you have been victims of multiple forms of abuse, you can come out on the other side with a lot of formative damage that has been informing how you make connections, the relationships that you have. And when you free yourself and heal the past damage, it no longer has an impact on the partnerships, on the friendships, and the connections that you can make. So it's very worthwhile work to do. These readings are going to help us figure out what to target. There are 4 piles. There's pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, and pile number 4. There's going to be an insert in a moment so that you can concentrate, see which one calls out to you. That is the message you're most meant to receive. I ask that you don't pick piles based on I always pick number 1 or I always pick number 2. Most of the people in my collective are developing psychics, if not full-blown psychics already, and it is one of the ways to tap into your inner eye and find the guidance that your guides are trying to bring to you. Take a moment, see which pile calls out to you, and I will see you at the time of your reading. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 1, candle number 1, then this is your pile and this is your reading. And your candle, let's go over what's on the spell plate. Again, all of the candles are anointed with the same blend of conjure oils, but at the base there is some white rice for anything that has rice in fake magic or in hoodoo that is causing increase, things to basically, as the grains of rice, there are many of them, it will help increase come into your life. So it's an excellent form of prosperity magic. Usually it's done with money or with love rice. This is just basic healing rice, a better life. This is happiness, essentially. And then that also has some pink Himalayan salt with it, in particular to help heal your heart chakra. And then I have lavender and chamomile. Lavender is very healing and sedating. It's calming. It's mildly dominant as well, so it helps overcome things. And then chamomile is very good for healing as well, but it also helps increase prosperity. Your predictive spread is going to be with the vice versa tarot. Here's your oracle cards that were pre-selected. The rest of the spell plate has an orange rose that is for passion, for drive, for creativity. These are things that are often muted when our shadow work has not been done yet. And shadow work and formative damage are the exact same thing. Some people will call it inner child work. I just never have. It is because it's not really working so much with the child version of you, but rather the version of you that never learned what it needed to in order to make healthy, thriving connections. It often impacts our self-esteem, whether or not we know we're lovable. It's actually a very, very important part of a healing journey. All right, so let's get started with that. We're going to put that guy over here. All of the candles are a metallic purple. Purple is one of the healing colors. It is also a domination color. So, sad embrace. Okay. Sad embrace is one of the more difficult energies and often seen with anything having to do with formative damage, with shadow work. When we are injured, it is more difficult to become happy and thriving and joyful and to really, really enjoy our lives. People who are trauma survivors frequently have a history of depressive disorders. That's nothing to be ashamed of. It's completely natural. If your emotional foundation was essentially attacked in childhood through whatever means, it is completely normal to carry forward feelings of fear about happiness, fear about attachment, abandonment issues can come in as well, and then depressive episodes in which life doesn't seem like it's not the same thing as being suicidal, but there are many people who are not particularly attached to the concept of being alive because they have not had a particularly joyful experience with it. That's one of the energies with sad embrace. We're going to take a look and see what might have caused that. Fated to suffer with downcast pride. Okay, this is the Dark Mirror Oracle, and it is one of the best Oracle decks for shadow work, for inner child work, or for formative damage work. Downcast pride and fated to suffer. This is about being ruled by shame, frequently brought about by a formative experience with a parental unit or a main caretaker. And then the fated to suffer is feeling as if you are denied everything that other people are allowed to have because of character flaw. Again, usually this is programmed into us. Again, if you're in my collective, you may have had a history of relationships with narcissists because you're likely an empath, and one of your parents or caretakers may have been an addict or a narcissist as well. It doesn't have to hold true for everybody, but that is one of the things, a feeling of unworthiness is one of the things that can result. So what do you do about that if you happen to have that? It's called reparenting. You kind of go back and you find those wounded areas and you start talking to yourself about them. If you were told you weren't good enough growing up, if whenever you did something wrong, your caretaker was withdrawing their love, that was inappropriate. That was about their own damage and they were inflicting upon you. And that's one of the things that you can go back and kind of with a clear-eyed view, figure out the ways in which, and it's not always malicious, it's not. Sometimes people are just working from what they know and they repeat what they know. So it isn't always about having an abusive parent. Sometimes we can have wonderfully dedicated parents who simply didn't know any better, so they couldn't do any better. But that is about being shamed for making mistakes, being made to feel inadequate. And then the fated to suffer is, unfortunately, as you move forward in life, if you have not healed that damage, confronted those shadows, it will have defined many of your relationships, work, personal, and romantic. We have protection. The fairies of protection are shielding you with a magical fairy ring of love and light. Practice psychic protection before embarking upon any spiritual work. This is very, very important. Get out into nature, ground. Make sure that you do that before doing any type of alignment work. Align your chakras, and then again, start meditating about what you need to heal. And protection is about some of these things, particularly when there's a lot of trauma involved, can cause people to be triggered. You can call to the guardians who guard the four corners, which those are archangels in the belief system that I was raised in. I don't practice it any longer, but I still use the language. That is Michael for earth, Gabriel for air, that is what I channel, Raphael for water, and Uriel for fire. And if you call out to the guardians who guard the four corners, that is the four elements that make up our reality, you are calling to the angelic or the spiritual and divine protection that is available to you to help keep you safe through a sometimes emotionally difficult journey. I have aspiration. Mountain Pink Large or Orange Sulfur. This is the Enchanted Blossoms deck. It's very, very beautiful indeed, and it's about blossoms turning into dragons. So what this has to do with is if your self-esteem was undermined constantly by a caretaker who may have had their own issues that they were taking out on you, it can make you believe that you're not capable of doing things, you're not capable of achieving. One thing to keep an eye out for or an ear out for is if people keep telling you you're gifted in something, start believing them. If you have heard over and over again that you're special, you're creative, you should do this, you should write a book, you should do that, listen. If it has been a repeated message, remember, our guides speak to us through other people all the time. And the difference between you and achieving what you want in this life in all areas may be as simple as going back and finding out why you don't believe in yourself. What went into that? Were you bullied in school? Remember, that's a formative stage for other people in which they form a pack and they identify someone who is weaker and smaller and more sensitive, and they have a tendency to pick on them. In order to give themselves a feeling of self-confidence to establish their feeling of power. They do have a tendency to steal somebody else's, but that's never about your worth. It's about your ability to feel. It's why empaths are so frequently the grown-up versions of people who have been abused. And one of the ways that you heal that is simply to go back, to look at that, and to understand that wasn't about me. I was just trying to be friendly. I was just trying to fit in. I was just a little weird. I like to read a lot. There's a lot of things that are kind of, if you go back and you forgive yourself for the things you never did wrong, that is one of the steps in healing. Understanding that what other people do to us is almost always about what's going on inside of them, rather than something that they are seeing and judging in us. I also have opportunity, aspirations and opportunity. The other thing on the other side of healing, formative damage or shadow work, is the ability to be who you started out to be. And it is a rough journey. Healing is difficult, but on the other side of it, you feel amazing, more empowered than you ever have in your life. And is it difficult going through it? Yes. It's why it's so important to find a tribe or support system. If you don't have that available to you, there are professionals available as well. And then also there are a lot of online communities with people who are going on a like-minded journey. I have hidden motivations and then new beginnings. Okay, so the hidden motivations are things that are buried. And that is, again, even if you have not thought of it in years, you could be like really quite mature and still carrying around the formative damage scars that have kept you from having a fully thriving experience. And it's never too late. It's never too late. We can always heal. And healing is a choice. It's not the easiest journey, but it 100% is a choice that we can make. If you decide, I'm going to do this difficult work so that I can have a better life, that's one of the first steps. Okay, I'm going to pick that. That's the devil. Here we go. Let's go, let's go. The vice versa deck is bringing you the kind of predictive spread, but it's more about looking into your emotional past. So can I see for candle number 1, what caused this damage? What do we need to overcome? And how do we do that? 3 more times. 1 and 2 and 3. Have patience with yourself. It's a difficult journey, but it's one very much worth taking. Okay, 10 of Wands in the upright with the 4 of Swords in the upright. 9 of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, 7 of Cups in reverse, 10 of Cups in reverse, 4 of Cups in the upright, World in the upright, King of Pentacles in the upright, 3 of Wands in the upright. That's an opportunities card. King of Swords in the upright, 2 of Swords in the upright. One of the things that trauma can do is block your ability to see as well, your third eye. 7 of Pentacles in the upright, 5 of Pentacles in reverse, the Empress in the upright, 3 of Swords in the upright, okay. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Page of Wands in the upright, Judgment in reverse, 5 of Cups in the upright, has the need to release your grief. This is the King of Wands in reverse, 9 of Wands in reverse, and then the 6 of Pentacles in reverse as well. Okay, one of the things that's going on here is that you're very prone to non-reciprocal relationships. Relationships in which you give a great deal and the other person takes a great deal. And this should be mainly in your romantic relationships, but you may encounter it in friendships as well. It does look as if it has to do with a parental figure in your background. The thing is that I've got your mom here. I've got your main caretaker as being somebody who they couldn't, nothing you did was ever adequate. They're trying to live up to their expectations, caused you a great deal of stress and strain. If you were terrified to make a mistake because you grew up in an atmosphere in which someone was being hypercritical of you, in which whenever you made a mistake, you almost had to, you learned to hide it. And for a while, particularly in a developing stage, this might have led to a behavior in which you lied for expediency's sake to try and smooth over perceived upcoming difficulties. The ways that you heal that are to go back and to examine them and forgive yourself. First of all, again, this isn't about blame. It's about finding that which you can heal so that you can simply have a better life. In your relationships, for the most part, it starts out happy, and then it moves more and more towards your emotional needs not being met as you give, and the other person has a tendency simply to receive and to give small amounts in return. The problem with this particular type of formative damage or shadow work is that we have a tendency to choose partners who remind us of the parent or the caretaker who did not give us the love that we needed and deserved growing up. It's like we're trying to find a source that is reminiscent of that to fill in the void that was left by someone who, again, it can be from a completely innocent place, but sometimes there's malice involved. Sometimes it is somebody exerting power over something that is smaller and weaker to feel more powerful within their own life. You've had a rough time though. You may have at different points been, if you haven't been on medication for depression, you've certainly considered it. It is here, he may be from a family where your parents divorced, a lot of people are, but it left you with a feeling of insecurity. You get very stressed out. Like, you think of the future a great deal because it's control and safety seeking. By the way, that is one of the factors that anxiety disorders are formed from, trauma. When we're trying to figure out the ways to be safe, trauma does come into play. I'm going to take a sip of water because my throat's itching. Okay. Listen, there's grief processing ahead of you. If you haven't done it yet, you may have begun already because of that sad embrace. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. If you're safe doing so, allow yourself to feel your feelings. It almost never fails. One of my eyes is watering like crazy and everything. Okay, so divorce may have been a part of your formative experience, and you're trying to start over again because you've been on a lather, rinse, repeat cycle, basically having the same relationship over and over again, or you're only drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable and have an avoidant attachment style. That's very, very common when you have an emotionally withholding caretaker. And this person may not have been coming from a place of like a personality disorder or from any malicious place. They may in fact have been grieving for a lost relationship, and you are simply repeating a cycle that they began. One of the things about formative work, one of the things about shadow work is it can break the cyclical generational cycle around abuse and failed relationships. If you do this work, if you go towards healing, you can stop it for the next generation, for yourself, and it's never too late. Sincerely, you could be 75 years old, and starting out with your formative damage work will free you for the rest of your life. And never ever think that there's a point at which life stops being worthwhile. Quite often when I'm reading for people and they're wondering when their next relationship will come, and that is a codependency factor sometimes, they'll comment that if it's not for a year or for two, it's, well, I'm going to be old. And you're going to be that age anyway, so like don't label it as being negative. And also, age does not feel the way that people think that it does. Stop judging experiences you haven't had yet. If you don't feel old in the here and now, there's no reason to believe that you will in 2 to 3 years, unless that is a choice that you're making. You in fact can feel younger and more vibrant as you heal and become stronger. So again, it is never too late to address your formative damage, to have better relationships with yourself first. And that is really what the point of shadow work is. Understanding yourself fully so that you can meet your own needs and you can have the best achievements in life that are available to you. You haven't made as much happen as you wanted to. You may in fact be remarkably bright with that King of Swords in the upright, but you, like, whenever anybody tells you you're good at something, you're the last person to believe it. They, like, you could have heard something from 25 people and you just think they're all imagining the same thing, or they're trying to be nice. That's the other thing that people have a tendency to believe, is that when they're given compliments, they don't put as much weight on them as they do criticisms. That is something to draw your focus and to really pay attention to. And another thing that you can do, when you catch yourself saying unkind things to yourself, remember, that is a programmed voice in your head. That comes from somewhere else. It does not come from the divine, and it really does not come from yourself. It is the shaming and sometimes punishing voices around us. It can be from peers, or again, it can be from caretakers, who teach us to view ourselves in a less than kind and flattering light. When you kind of go back and start reprogramming the ways in which you talk to yourself, be kind, be encouraging, give yourself compliments, and give yourself credit for the things that you do. If you had to go and face doing something really frightening, then go, and I'm not kidding, look in the mirror and say, I'm really proud of you. That was hard, and you did it anyway. And yeah, you got a little upset, but that's okay. You still got it done, everybody lived, and now it's behind you. And that is how you build confidence. And for each time that you find yourself criticizing yourself, give yourself 3 compliments. And if you need to start writing them down, please do. And if you can't find a compliment to give yourself, first of all, never be afraid to go towards professional help if you need it. Somebody who can be a detached sounding board so that they're able to tell you what they perceive in you, to help you get a clearer view of yourself. But if you're able to simply begin to tell yourself things that you're good at, and you are good at something, you're probably good at a great many things. If you are kind by nature, don't forget that counts. If you are patient by nature, don't forget that counts. And if you're impatient but you're working on it, don't forget the work that you're putting in on that counts. Give yourself credit, give yourself the encouragement you were not given as a child, and it can begin to transform your life. You've had a lot of trouble, like you can daydream sometimes, but you have trouble acting in the 3D. You do. Your self-doubt gets in the way. You convince yourself that there's no point. There absolutely is a point. And there actually, I believe that you were quite creative when you were a child. You're probably very fanciful and imaginative. You may have withdrawn into your own world looking for safety. That is actually a trait that will allow you to create and to have a forward-thinking view of the world going forward. You should be able to pick up on trends easily and start to predict where they're going. This third eye being blocked, it really is because you're not able to see the truth about yourself. And by the way, this isn't about being egotistical or boastful. You can still admit that, like, hey, I've got a trigger temper sometimes. I'm talking about me. I really do. I really do. It's something I will be working on for the rest of my life. And it's gotten better and better and better and better. But I'm a fiery person, and sometimes it shows. Now, I am an earth sign, but literally everyone who encounters me thinks I'm a fire sign, because that's just how I am. And that has good and bad things. It means that when I need to, I have a head of steam going that can carry me through anything. But it can also make me impatient. And that impatience also comes in from the fact that I was around people who were not patient with me when I was a child. Either I was entirely neglected, or I had people who were hypercritical of me. And remember, almost all of your faults, some of them are innate, but many of them have to do with your surroundings. This is not about shaming or judging your parents or the people who took care of you. This is about recognizing the things that were lacking so that you can give them to yourself without shame or judgment of yourself or others. And you can still have the parent or the caretakers in your life who may have caused this damage, but release yourself from being dependent on their view of you. So pile number 1. For the most part, you struggle with trying to see things through because you have self-doubt. You believe yourself to be kind of fated to be unlucky, but in fact, and you may have had depressive episodes that are really quite bad. Remember, exercise is a very key part of trying to combat depressive tendencies. Please don't drink. Alcohol is a depressant. It's okay to want escapism, and like I'm always saying, cannabis is legal where I am. If it is where you are as well, that is not a depressant. It can be used to treat depression, but alcohol is. And there is no, you don't have a special form of brain chemistry that will allow you to drink and not react to it as a depressant. It simply is a central nervous system depressant. And if you are struggling with depression, drinking will simply make it worse. Even if you think it's making it better at the start, it simply isn't. So go towards good forms of escapism. Sometimes that's stories and books and creativity. Some people, while they're engaging in formative damage healing, do very well with going back to the things that kind of soothe them as a child, only in an adult form. They have adult coloring books, as a for instance. Find what you did that was your form of escape, that allowed you respite, that allowed you the space to breathe, whether it was like going down to a creek and playing in it, or whatever it might have been that offered you that escape. Find the adult version of that and give that to yourself on a regular basis. Prioritize self-care. When you're healing, you need to take care of yourself. Root number 1, all you really need to do is overcome the idea that, again, was programmed into you that you are not innately good enough. You have not been denied a good life because you are lacking in some kind of character that means that no, you don't get that because you're not good enough. Whoever convinced you of that, whatever convinced you of that, it is simply not true. And we can change and we can become better. And if you have a part of yourself you genuinely don't like, remember, you have the power to change it. And all change is one choice after another to do a different thing to achieve a different result. Once you are healed, the whole world opens up to you, and it is a beautiful possibility. It is so worth it to do this work, but it does involve taking a good look at yourself and not being unkind to yourself about your failures or your faults. And we all fail sometimes. That is how we learn best. Accept that. Open your mind up to the fact that it doesn't matter if I was wrong. We're all wrong sometimes. What matters is that I'm seeking solutions and how to get better. Take care. Be well. Thank you so much for joining me, pile number 1. I'll see you next time. Welcome back. If you chose candle number 2, pile number 2, then this is your candle and this is your reading. Okay, so what we have going here is I have prosperity rice, healing rice at the very base of this. In hoodoo and in folk magic, there is different forms of rice. There are different forms of rice. Some are love, some is for money, and this is for healing and for basically peace. And then I also have pink Himalayan salt to help heal and protect our heart chakras. That is covered with chamomile and with lavender. Lavender is healing and soothing. It is also dominant, so it helps your will dominate whatever it is you're trying to overcome in formative damage or in shadow work or in inner child work. I happen to always use the term formative damage because we're not really dealing with the child version of ourselves. What happens is if you think of our lives as a foundation upon which we are built, then what happens with formative damage is when we're very small or when we're children or we're still in a developing stage, there is a crack laid in that foundation by something that was damaging. Until you go back and repair that, everything that you build on top of that will have that fault at the bottom of it, that area of weakness. Once you go back and repair it, then everything that you build on top of that will be sturdier and stronger and more likely to last. Okay, and then the candles are a metallic purple, which purple is a good color for domination, but it's also for healing. I have yellow daisies because that is for drawing good things to us, happiness, positivity. And then the orange roses are about creativity, passion for life, and drive. That is the color of the sacral chakra. Okay, your oracle cards, let's go over them first. Mountain, ooh. You might get caught in your head. When you get the mountain card, it means that you have trouble overcoming things, that you have to figure out a path around rather than going over. It can be a card of being at a stalemate as well. Your shadow work cards, the dark mirror cards, are atonement. And then today for tomorrow. Okay. All right, you have a lot of guilt feelings is what this particular combination would mean, and you procrastinate a great deal because you have self-doubt. You do have a tendency to kind of become overwhelmed when contemplating something, and it causes you to no longer move forward. You just kind of get stuck in the I don't know what to do energy. I have protect your dreams. You are the guardian of your precious dreams. They are safe in your care. Keep them close to your heart until you're ready to release them. This is also a card of not being afraid of success. It's not the same thing as being afraid of failure. Some people, even if they're told they're special, even if they're told there's a great deal about them that is unique and they can, I don't want to say exploit, but develop, sometimes with this particular energy, we don't have enough confidence in ourselves to go forward. That's where procrastination can come from as well, is the inability to believe that there is a point to our efforts. I have Magnificence, Bird of Paradise, Common Mother of Pearl. This is the Enchanted Blossoms deck. It is about these blossoms that turn into very powerful dragons. You do. Like you're afraid of achievement, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's so common. Is that sometimes we're so afraid that if we try and we fail and that other people will see us as frauds, that we don't try at all. And then there's even worse, that yes, maybe if I could do that, that would be one thing, but then everyone's going to expect more. This usually comes from these kind of formative experiences, often from our parents, where nothing we could do would ever be good enough. And so people get stuck in not trying. I have forgiveness. Forgiveness is a difficult energy to achieve, particularly when you're talking about this shadow work, this formative damage, because so many people in my collective, if you're in my collective, you are likely an empath who attracted a predator or a narcissist in different stages of your life. It may have come from your formative experience as well. And it becomes very difficult to move past entirely because those forms of formative cracks can go very deep indeed. And when we try to forgive, sometimes it feels like we're saying that terrible, heinous, horrible thing that was done to me didn't matter. I'm just letting it go. It matters. But you matter enough that letting it go so you can live a thriving and happy life is the best thing to do. Forgiveness is not about what happened to you. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself so that you're not caught in the energy of the past. Since like energy attracts like energy, the easiest way to have a better future is to let go of the bad past. And the easiest way to let go of the bad past is to go back, do your shadow work, find out what holds you back, and allow yourself to move free to return to the person that you were meant to be from birth. I have the vast universe and the sacred temple. You struggle with self-care though. You're very self-punishing. It could be because you were taught that, like, you might have had a very sinister influence, that you are not a worthwhile person. That, by the way, it's not true. If you had a caretaker, or if you had peers, or if you were in a situation in which, as a developing person, you were told that you were not good enough as you are, listen, we all need to form into something. It's okay if you didn't come perfect. Helping people, encouraging them is part of a caretaker's job. If that did not help, if that didn't happen for you, that was something you were denied that likely left a formative wound. And I think there was a lot of punishment, no matter what you did in your life, and you were held back by it. You became too frightened to act. In terms of forgiveness, boy, this could go either way. Either you forgave too easily, thinking that what happened to you was not... Sometimes people, particularly who are abused, and not everybody watching this will have been the victim of childhood abuse, but a lot of people in my collective will have been, because like energy attracts like energy. I have a lot of trauma survivors, and it's high-level trauma. It's very, very severe. Sometimes we have a hard time holding people that we love, because it is in our nature to love our caretakers. Sometimes it's hard to hold the people we love accountable without feeling like we're criticizing them. And because we were so badly criticized, or you were so badly criticized, you hesitate to do that to the people that you love as well. You try and empathize with quite frequently, the person who is emotionally withholding. It is that extending that kindness and that love to everybody but yourself. Page of Pentacles in reverse is that procrastination energy as well, not being able to get going. Oh my goodness. We have the Seven of Cups in the upright. It's landed there twice. Four of Cups in reverse, the Devil in reverse. You may have had to heal from codependency. It may be an ongoing process, because I've got some things that are up in the air, and this is very active work for you, group number 2. Okay, 2 more times. 1. Okay, Princess of Pentacles in reverse, and 2. Oh, you just feel like you're stuck. Remember, the more severe the damage, the longer it takes to heal. And you can be on a healing journey so long that it's like, well, do I ever get to be healed? Do I ever get to move forward? Am I just permanently injured? Because I'd like to do things and have a life. Healing takes time, but it is something that you can accomplish. It does happen. It is a choice. It genuinely is a choice. And this has to do with a person in my life who's a friend who has a terrible, terrible backstory, and I'm not going to share any of their stuff, but it's an example that I wanted to use. We were discussing formative damage, and one of the things that they said was, I doubt I'll ever be healed. It'll probably be for the rest of my life that I'm doing this. And I can understand that because it is in fact a mountain, something almost insurmountable to overcome, but also if they are telling themselves that, then that will be the reality. Tell yourself, I can heal. Even if it's chipping away at a mountain, a block at a time, you can still do it, and it's still worthwhile to do it, because if you've got a mountain, even if you reduce it to a smaller hill, that is progress. All right, Temperance in the upright. Here's the Hermit in reverse, Temperance in the upright. You are actually healed or healing. Six of Swords in reverse, Prince of Wands in the upright. There were a lot of delays though. Five of Pentacles in the reverse, Six of Wands in the upright. Hey, group number 2, Hierophant in reverse, Judgment in reverse, Three of Wands in reverse, Four of Pentacles in the upright, Strength card in reverse, the Lovers in the upright, the Tower in reverse. I think you had to release a damaging relationship, and you've been doing a lot of healing work actually. Two of Swords in reverse, the Sun in reverse, the Princess of Wands in reverse, Two of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, with the Eight of Pentacles in the upright. All right, so group number 2, it does look as if you're dealing with a formative experience that left you looking for your worth in another person's eyes. That is one of the things that is a hallmark of codependency. Now, codependency functions like an addiction, but mostly we don't understand what addiction is. Addiction is not being weak. Addiction is seeking a relief to the existential pain that someone is encountering, where they have to alter their reality in order to bear their life. And what happens with codependency is we go towards, and the substance people are seeking is love, approval, and safety. If it was denied to you by a punishing caretaker or a punishing peer situation as you were growing up, you can go towards it's why narcissists make such a meal out of empaths, is that they know that they can easily identify the ways in which an empath may not see themselves, and initially they can be very encouraging, and then they're withholding to try and control that person's actions. It looks to me like that relationship is in the past and you're rebuilding from the ground up. I'm not sure if it was by your choice that it was released or if it simply left your life, but you have been working on it. You've been trying to produce better boundaries as well. You're pretty far into your healing journey here. What you're really struggling with is overcoming, I think, that last barrier to success, which is belief in self, belief that you deserve all things. And one of the things that happens, particularly in the tarot community and the spirituality community, is that we say these things over and over again, and we kind of don't define what they mean. So someone will be getting a love reading and they'll be asking, when's my next relationship? Why can't I find a person? I just want a person. And the reader will say, oh, well, when you know you deserve love, that's when you find it. Again, without meaning to, that is putting blame on the person who does not have a person in their life. It is not about not doing something correctly. Like, well, you don't know you deserve it, so you don't have it. It means that when you are seeking love, if you don't truly understand the type of love that you need, that you deserve, the kind, patient, steadfast love, then you will settle for these facsimiles thinking it is all you deserve. And literally that is all, when you know you deserve it, you will find it means. It means that once you're able to recognize, I am deserving of just wonderful love. I give it to people, I should receive it in return. It is what I deserve, and you will not accept anything short of that. That's when you receive the love you deserve. And is it like a magical door opening in the universe? Maybe, like it can be for some people. Some people may spend their time alone and not find a person, but that's better. It is better to be happy alone than trying to make the wrong person into somebody that they're not. Because if you do that, it means you never will have the person who truly is your best and most encouraging person, and you theirs. If you keep trying to dress up something and say, this is good enough, when it's only maybe 30, 40, 50%, it's best to hold out for the whole picture. It is better to be choosy for yourself because you know you deserve a really good partner. You have done all this healing work already though. You're still struggling with a couple of things. Impulsivity, maybe some tendency towards anger. That is one of the stages in forgiveness as well. And that is why so many people avoid it. We don't like anger. We think of it as being negative. Here's the thing, in abuse situations as adults, it is one of the things that will prevent somebody abusing you. If you react appropriately with anger when somebody infringes on your boundaries or begins taking advantage of what they perceive are your weaknesses, you will be able to repel them and rebuff them appropriately. It doesn't mean, throwing a grenade in their face, but what it does mean is if somebody starts trying to manipulate you, somebody starts trying to insult you into the behavior that they want from you, you'll be like, hey, that's nice, there's the door. And that will be it. You will not allow people who mistreat you to remain, because you will know you don't deserve to be mistreated, period. And anybody can have a bad moment, but when we're starting to talk about moment after moment, please don't excuse away bad behaviors. Is it Maya Angelou who said that believe that if somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time? It's very wise indeed. Please don't explain away bad behaviors as he was hurt or she did this or it's because of that. They come from a family. Everybody has their own work to do. Partners are not projects. Make sure that you allow people into your life who have done their work. And if they haven't done their work, can you wait for somebody who is trying to do their work? Yes. You can decide not to engage in a relationship with anybody else as you hope, or at least you can decide, until I meet somebody I have that level of feeling for, I will not go towards another relationship. But you can't have a relationship that is healthy with somebody who is trying to find their own health. Healthy relationships come from healthy people. And sometimes you can be in a relationship dynamic where you can heal together. But this looks to me as if you're hoping for a fresh pairing. But you had a relationship that hurt you and you had to build, again, it may have been a marriage because I do have the Hierophant in reverse. You have been moving on from it. And you have done a lot of processing and grief work. The things that remain for you, self-care is a big one. You will treat everybody better than you treat yourself. And it's likely because you had somebody in your life who that's how everybody needed to react to them. They were the center of attention. Their needs mattered more. Now, is that always a narcissist? No, it's not. There's something called borderline personality disorder, and recently it has come into focus that borderline personality disorder may not be that at all. It may actually be people who have never been treated for a very high level of trauma. So they never ever gain the coping skills for their feelings and they react at this very high level and they're very disordered as they try to protect their damage. It can be treated and it can be cured in the right environment. I'm saying that because people who have a high level of trauma in their background can have a form of PTSD that when triggered can make them almost incapable of functioning. And they can take a lot of blame on themselves for that. Remember, if that is your story, if you have PTSD particularly that led to OCD inspired by trauma, that is not your fault. That was done to you. And you can heal it. And you can be safe and go back and think about the past. And that's what shadow work really does, is it allows you from the safety of the here and now to go back and safely and gently, never trigger yourself, always be kind and patient with yourself, examine the ways in which you were damaged. And what happens with empaths is we have emotional memory. So when we try and think of the past, quite frequently the emotions of the past will rise up. So that's why it can take time. It, to me, looks like you're about, I'd say 85% of the way through your journey. And the only thing is that you need better self-care practices. And that is about recognizing your own worthiness. For good treatment, for all good things, you're more likely to spoil another person than you are yourself. And whether or not you realize it, that has to do with a feeling of a lack of worth within. Again, that was programmed into you. It is not about your innate worth. As soon as you can start, sometimes writing things down can be very, very helpful indeed. One of the things that I was just telling the first group is reparenting yourself is one of the tricks with formative damage, healing it. Going and saying encouraging things to you where your inner voice might start supplying something like you're not good enough, you're always going to be late, you're going to screw it up. If you try to do this, you'll make a mistake, it'll be the end of the world. If you can simply go and literally look yourself dead in the eye in the mirror and say, you can do this. Got this. You can do it. You've done things that are much harder. You can get through this. I'm really proud of you for trying. And does it feel a little weird? Yes, but it's what you deserve. You deserve to have an encouraging voice inside of you. And if it wasn't given to you as a child, then it becomes part of your job to be that voice, to break free so that you can know what you truly deserve. And when you know what you truly deserve, that's when you're able to go towards it. That's what really holds us back when we don't know what we deserve, is we won't go towards the things that are truly worthy of us, because we'll see something and say, that's not for me, that's for other people. Okay, pile number 2, working on your feeling of worthiness is one of the things that you can do, one of the things that you're being advised to do, and is just put some work in on it. You have a slight trigger temper. It is because anger is protecting sadness. That's all. There's a part of you that is mourning for the fact that you lost a big chunk of your life to damage. Listen, that's a valid perspective, but another one is, if I start today, then I can reclaim the rest of my life. And it doesn't matter if you're 80, it doesn't matter if you're 18, there is still time ahead of you, and each day passes at the exact same rate. Claim the time that is left to you, never say it's too late. The more you say it's too late, the more time is wasted. If you go towards making the changes that you want to see so that you can have a better life, even if you're just doing it by yourself, it's still a better life. You will enjoy it more, you will be happier. And when you are happier, you will care less about whether or not you have a partner, because you will be happy in your own company with your own life. And it doesn't have to involve material goods, but one of the things in that particular draw was that you have a hard time with that. You have a hard time with treating yourself appropriately. If you're like a parent, you're more likely to dress in rags as you make sure that your kids always have great clothing. There's nothing really wrong with that, but remember, if you are very, very self-sacrificing, what you're really teaching your children is that moms and mothers that's what they're supposed to do. And that's setting them up for a strange expectation in which their caretakers are meant to view themselves as being less important than the people they are taking care of. It is a balance and it is equal. And that is part of the reason that moms and dads and parents in general are encouraged to make sure that they take time for themselves, because treating ourselves as worthwhile is one of the ways that we receive what we are worthy of. Okay, pile number 2, not a lot of work left to do. You're working on your worthiness, understanding that I am worthy, and go back and examine the ways in which it was programmed into you, the idea that you're not. Take care, be well. If you want to book me for a private reading, there's an insert in a moment with all the information on how to book me. I would love a chance to read for you in real life. Take care, be well. I'll see you next time. Welcome back. If you chose candle number 3, pile number 3, then this is your candle and this is your reading. We are doing formative damage work, what shadow work do I need to do and what do I need to heal. So let's go over what's on your spell plate. Again, before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe and to hit that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it. Your candle is a metallic purple because purple is a good color for healing. It's also for domination. We're trying to dominate the past and the past versions of ourselves to live our best lives going forward. That is the point of shadow work. That is the point of formative damage work and of inner child healing. Okay, you have peace rice or happiness rice on the very bottom. There are different types of rice used in folk and hoodoo magic. It causes things to prosper and to multiply. And then I also have pink Himalayan salt to help heal and protect our heart chakras. That is covered with chamomile, again for healing and for tranquility, but also for prosperity. And then also lavender. And lavender also is sedating. It can also be obscuring. I use it to help hide magic sometimes. And it can also be lightly dominant as well. Okay, and then you have yellow daisies for positivity, for hope and good vibes, and then the orange rose is for our sacral chakra, which is passion for life, creativity, and drive. Let's get going for your oracle cards here. I have details. Where are we going with this one? We're identifying what you need to heal. I have the Triumph of Lies, and then Is This Me? Oh, identity crisis. All right, here we go. Nature signs. Be receptive to the subtle messages from nature as you go about your day. Nature talks to us continually. We need only open our hearts and minds. Grounding is going to be so very important to the work that you need to do. And you can do that through gardening, through house cleaning, through hiking, getting to the shore, getting to fresh water sources. I go to a botanical garden. I walk my dogs. There's a lot of trees around. That's very, very helpful. You need to pay more attention to having a process around healing. You're a little haphazard about it right now. Triumph of Lies, again, is believing essentially the falsehoods that were told to you from multiple sources through your formative experience about who you are and what your base nature is. Quite frequently, people in my collective and just in general, people who have shadow work to do or formative healing to do, they had caretakers who were taking out their own damage on the people, their children, sometimes their grandchildren, nieces, nephews. It has to do with a misuse of power. Most of the people in my collective are extremely powerful empaths. Details with nature signs, you're missing spirit guide messages because you're not adhering to a process to try and aid your healing. You may be one of those people who does not meditate well. You do not have to sit still and clear your mind. That's a fallacy. You can go out, you can take walks, you can listen to music, you can do whatever it is you need to do and just pay attention to what pops into your mind. There are multiple forms of meditation. It is not just about being at one with the universe. It is allowing yourself to connect and for your mind to have a still place within it that can receive. Sometimes that means needing to spill off energy around it. From the Enchanted Blossoms, we have confidence. All right, so you lack self-confidence, you lack self-esteem, you believe things about yourself that are not true. You likely believe that you're not a particularly good person because you may have had a punishing caretaker. I have purity. It is a strange thing that really only very good people have a tendency to question whether or not they're good people. It really is quite true. The people who are not fighting for their higher selves in this lifetime quite frequently don't question whether or not they're a good person. They tell themselves they are even if they're not. If you have questions around that, if you're thinking that sometimes I'll be talking to clients and telling them things that I perceive in them, and I can tell that part of what they're thinking is you don't really know me. Listen, we all have darker sides within. You do not have to be perfect to be good. Everyone, we're meant to exist in balance. We're supposed to have a yucky monster down there that we're overcoming and slaying our dragons. You're not, just because you have something darker within does not mean that the light parts of you, the bright parts of you, the hope and the positive parts of you have any less validity. It is actually the fact that you fight for your higher self, that you fight to be a better person, that makes you an even better person than you're giving yourself credit for being. All right, we have the honoring path and great gratitude. Great gratitude and the honoring path is what I'm going to do with that. Unfortunately, you're not very satisfied with your life right now. Remember, if you can stop in any particular moment and find multiple things to give thanks for, to be happy about, to celebrate as having part of your existence, it will simply raise your vibe and you're not being shamed. But when people say things like count your blessings, it is not the same thing as saying shut up and quit complaining. What it is saying is it will change your energetic signature and you'll feel better. So the honoring path is also being called to a form of healing and of leadership. Spoiler alert, my collective is almost entirely healers being called to their life's purpose. Now, not everybody who interacts with my videos is. I'll occasionally get sometimes we interact with the wrong reader and sometimes we interact with the right reader. What you are being called to as you reset your energetic signature is a form of leadership. You have a purpose. This is a time of activation. Light workers are here to try and bring the world back into better energetic balance. But you also have to understand that you are also in balance. We are meant to have a darker side that we're overcoming. What we're meant to do is tap into the divine and also to overcome that which is tapped into a darker source. Because again, a channel goes both ways. It's not just a well, it's a channel all the way through. And that does mean overcoming the darker energies that might try to claim us. The more powerful you are, the more powerful your dark side may be. Remember, reach for the light. Okay, I have the Seven of Cups in reverse with the World, Queen of Pentacles in the upright, King of Wands in the upright. I have the Strength card in the upright, Nine of Cups in the upright. Ooh, you're going Queen of Wands in the upright. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Nine of Pentacles in reverse, Four of Pentacles in reverse. You did have to heal a lot. Six of Cups in the upright, Page of Wands in reverse, King of Cups in the upright, Eight of Wands in the upright, Nine of Wands in reverse, Three of Pentacles in the upright, Three of Cups in reverse. That one in the upright, one in reverse, that is a download code. We're in a time of great activation. Ace of Wands in reverse. Oh gosh. Five of Pentacles in reverse, Ten of Pentacles in the upright. Okay. With the Emperor in the upright. Oh, Page of Cups in reverse. And then the Six of Pentacles in the upright. Okay, so group number 3, one of the things that you're overcoming is a feeling of, you keep being told that you're powerful. Like you keep being told that you're powerful and that you're special and that you're gifted. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who has it all going on. The Queen of Wands is a natural leader. She's very, very compelling. Now, gender in tarot and in most of the world is becoming an increasingly meaningless construct. This is somebody who leads through not force, but through compelling arguments. Somebody who can see all sides. The Queen of Pentacles is innately practical, but she's also loving and kind and nurturing. The type of leadership that you have is a healing type of leadership. You, in fact, are probably a healer. So what are you still trying to heal? Because this is actually a very, very good draw. You're still searching for balance within your life, and you're still searching for a way to, you depleted yourself too much, didn't you? You did. Okay, you depleted yourself too much over the last, at least year. This is a timeless reading, but whenever you see it is the right time for you, and you've been, it's not just burning the candle at both ends. You've been putting in a lot of effort, not seeing a lot of return, and you're starting to feel a little bit judged by the universe. It was just the state of the world. Things are turning in your direction soon. Nine of Cups is getting what you're hoping for. The Strength card is overcoming. What work do we need to do to... You're very, very, very risk averse. You're very risk averse. You're very risk averse. Whatever you manage to bring to you, it's not that you're greedy. You're not. It's that you hold on to things very, very tightly because too much has been taken away from you. And everything was taken away from you in part because you needed to start again. You needed to try again, and you have a purpose that is calling to you. It is to help other people. Now, how does that manifest? For everyone, it's slightly different. Like you legitimately can be researching a medical form of pain killing that is as legitimate a form of healing others as somebody who is a Reiki healer. You can have a spiritual purpose without being in a spiritual surrounding. Your calling can be to something incredibly practical, but the world needs the practical parts alongside the spiritual parts. We exist best in a state of balance. Gosh, you're almost all the way through. What do you need to confront still? Making an action plan, and that's where that's like the last hurdle for you to clear, is trying to figure out, you've started to accept, okay, all right, I get it. Everything makes sense to me now. Every time I get a reading, like things fall into place. I can see very clearly the ways in which I was perhaps constructed in a way that was damaging to me. But the last remaining thing is believing that you deserve all good things and all good things can come to you. And you have trouble taking a risk and investing in yourself because it's not that you view yourself as a failure. It's that everything that you manage to bring to you, any small success, you're like, that's good enough, that's what I need, as long as I have enough to eat and there's a roof over my head. And I'm not encouraging you to be grasping, but part of your purpose is to make sure that more and more people have access to you. More and more people have access to what you can do and what you can develop. Whatever area that might be in. With the Eight of Wands in the upright, that is progress. You do have this loving, kind, nurturing connection to the divine. You might be struggling with it a little bit because there's some anger around some isolation. If you've been feeling like you've been stuck in a holding pen and no matter how much you try, nothing's happening, it is because, unfortunately, since you feel better than you used to, you think you're healed. And you're not quite. If you were entirely healed, you'd be able to take risks and move forward and know, well, if this doesn't work out, I will make something else work out. You would know that you're not going to truly lose as long as you have you. That's what you struggle with still. And how do you overcome that? Unfortunately, this is not really shadow work as much as it is having done so much work in understanding your past and uncovering your own secrets and rebuilding yourself, is applying it going forward. And how do you start changing things one thing at a time? Controlled risk is possible. It's one thing to say like, okay, well, I'm supposed to open my own healing shop. Therefore, I will mortgage the house, I will sell my kidneys, and I will finance this, and I'm going to shoot the entire load, and if it burns to the ground, then I will just rebuild. That's not quite what you would do. What you would do is sit down and practically figure out, what do I need for a baseline level of survival? And what are the appropriate risks for me to take? Do I need to downsize in certain areas so that I can expand in others? And to know that any decrease is temporary. And that's what you have trouble with. You have trouble with, because this is a natural manifesting energy. You've got multiple natural manifesting energies. You have trouble believing that something can be lost and then something else can be gained. As soon as you start losing, you think it's a trend. You think that a pendulum is swinging back in another direction. And again, because nothing happened as you poured in effort, you started to think, I'm wrong. I've lost the plot. There's no true connection here. This is just something I've been telling myself. Rediscovering your ability to have faith in you is the healing part that you need to overcome, that you need to achieve. It is great to have faith in the divine. It is great to have faith in that which is beyond. It is great to have faith in guides and guardians and ancestors and in angels. But truly, they're secondary to the faith that you have in yourself, that you're interpreting them correctly, that you are special, and that you are gifted. You do not need to receive a roadmap every few minutes from guides in order to know that you're on the right path. And some things won't work out and some things will. But when something doesn't work out, don't take it as evidence as nothing will work out. Rather, that wasn't the thing that was meant to work out. Something else will. That is what faith and hope really is. And over again, I will be talking to clients and sometimes commenters who just, I'm not going to hope anymore. It's just too painful. It hurts too much. I absolutely get that. But that's not going to help anything as a mindset. You are still in pain. You're just shielded, and like that keeps the good things from getting into. In order to receive joy and increase and love and prosperity and success, you have to open the door, and it does mean risking being hurt, failing. It's just that when you're in a good energy, when you're truly healed, it doesn't crush you when something doesn't work out. It instructs you. And if a relationship doesn't work out, instead of thinking that it's about my worth, I'm just not lovable, I'll never have a person, you'll look at the other person and be like, here's all the reasons you weren't really all that awesome for me. Like, I was concerned, I was worried, I questioned my actions all the time, I didn't feel secure. All of the ways in which a relationship might have been punishing to you, you'll be glad that it's gone from your life if it is doing those things to you, rather than saying, why do I keep losing people? You'll go and you'll look for the appropriate thing that will make you happier. That's what's going on here, is that there's a little bit of, there's some anger surrounding this. Having been told over and over again that you're wonderful, you're special, you're everything, you're like, that's marvelous. Where's my stuff then? Where's my everything? It's right there, and it's right there, and it's all over the place. It is 100% trying to come into your life. Doubt is the thing that you need to release. And it is because you're defining, you take obstacles and struggles as a personal judgment of you, versus that it's true for everybody. Whether or not you can see somebody else struggling, whether or not you, like, and never compare pain. Just, you don't really know what somebody else's life is like. And we only ever work and learn from our own experience. If you've had a particularly hard time, sorry about that, ran out of storage room. So if you've had a particularly hard time, remember that isn't because something despises you or doesn't want you to be happy. What it means is that we do choose our existences. Try to keep that in mind. If that sounds ridiculous to you, your higher self, which is just you, chose an existence that would have plenty of challenges because we learn the most through our challenges. As difficult as it may be to accept or believe, we sometimes will choose a life with many, many obstacles in it so that we can fast track our ability to learn. And that sounds ridiculous, but our higher selves, the part of us that is not always attached to the here and now, as feeling beings, we over-invest in our suffering sometimes. And that is not to say that your pain doesn't matter. Your pain matters very, very much. But your pain is not permanent, particularly if you go towards healing it and releasing it. And sometimes we kind of get caught in the why of it all when nothing seems to work out. And part of what helps with that is believing that things can and do work out if we give them the time that they need in order to develop and in order to work out. So group number 3, you've done almost all of the work that you need to, and it has been a long and sometimes arduous journey. What you're having trouble believing in right now, and the formative damage that you're still trying to heal, is reclaiming your belief that things can get better. You lost that along the way through too much trauma and too many challenges. And this is not a criticism. It genuinely is not. Remember, a lot of what happened was a factor of choice. That is, we forget that part, that sometimes things are much harder than they need to be. And I'm speaking from my own experience, because we wouldn't heed signs and release things that weren't meant for us. And I am absolutely the queen of that. A shaman found me when I was about 35 years old, told me I was a shaman and that I needed to leave my husband in order to do healing work for others. And I did not believe that I would ever leave my husband. Now, eventually I did, because it was an abusive relationship, abusive towards me, and I did leave. And I did go towards something that is quite healing for other people. But at the time, I just said no. And that is not an isolated incident, where people would tell me over and over again that there were things that were missing, that I deserved more. And I was the person who didn't believe that. That is not the fault of the divine, that is my fault. And fault is very shaming and punishing. It isn't about shame or punishment or being, well, that happened to you because of you. What it is a clear-eyed view of what can I do differently so that I have a different result going forward. And hopefully for myself, and speaking only for myself, but because it applies to this pile, going forward, you can have a different experience if you commit to releasing that which is not meant for you willingly, rather than trying to, but I want that, so I'm going to force it into the shape. Because when you can manifest like that, you can try and bend things to your will. So group number 3, the formative damage, the inner child work, and the shadow work that you need to do is going back and releasing the idea that you are afflicted. that you are being victimized by the universe versus being presented with opportunity. I'm so sorry because this is not going to be popular. Versus being given the opportunity to learn over and over and over again, and to reshape the way you approach things, and to look at the things that have happened to you for what they can teach you about you so you can have different outcomes. And that's a really, really difficult one. And whenever you meet somebody and they've been through something hideous and they're very caught up in the, it hurt me so much, first of all, that's legitimate. People are in pain, and be kind to it. But on the other side of that pain, if we will allow ourselves to get there, is the opportunity to learn what did I learn about myself? And I will tell you, for me only, but hopefully it will apply to you as well. What I really learned about myself is that I really can overcome anything. Like, I'm still standing, I can still be a happy person, I can still get a lot done, I can still have new things come into my life. I've never been broken. As hard and as difficult as some things are, I am not broken. But when we fall into the energy of nothing good ever happens to me, because we think that it's being denied us and given to other people, look instead towards that was hard, that was damaging, that was difficult. But I'm going to embrace my courage, and I'm going to believe that more can come to me, because I will make it. And if no other person, no other opportunity ever comes to me, I will make the most of every single day and enjoy what is available to me. I will choose joy. And that is courage. It is courageous to be hopeful. It's not foolish. It is courageous to be hopeful, even in the face of bitter disappointments of the past. And it is the very thing that can allow you to feel more joy. And that is not saying that if you're refusing to hope that you're being cowardly. What you're being is cautious in a way that denies you a full experience. Choose to hope. And not about one thing, about everything. And when something doesn't work out, it will be easier to say, well, that probably just wasn't for me, but something else is. And if you think that sounds like just an endless opportunity to be hurt, you're missing things. And that is not a criticism, but it is a beautiful day. So many days of the year. There are beautiful things to be seen. Even if you don't live in a beautiful part of the world, you can seek out beauty and love and music and art and friendship and laughter and music. There are so many things to celebrate. If you focus on what your life lacks, it is all you will ever see. Focus on the endless potential of all that can come to you. All you're being asked to heal is the feeling as if hope is a risk versus a gift. Thank you so much for joining me, pile number 3. If you'd like to book me for a private reading, there's an insert in a moment with all the ways to contact me, and I'd love a chance to read for you in real life. Don't take this as a criticism. It is the ability to expand. Take care. Be well. Welcome back. If you chose candle number 4, pile number 4, then this is your candle and this is your reading. Let's go over what's on your spell plate. All of the candles were anointed with the same conjure blend. Today I'm working with Cauldron Crone Conjure, a new shop to me, but I love their product so far, which is Empath Protection, because if you're drawn to me as a reader, you're likely an empath. It is also with Vision Oil and with Healing Oil, and then with Peace in the Home Oil, because we're trying to heal our formative wounds, do our shadow work, and make all possible going forward. On your plate is a form of prosperity rice. It is treated with peace water so that it is for healing. Then I've also got pink Himalayan salt to help heal our heart chakras, increase our ability to love. I have a chamomile on top of that because it is soothing and healing, but it also invites prosperity. And then I also have lavender because it is a sedative property as well. It can be obscuring in some magic work, and it is also dominant, meaning that you can use it to influence somebody else's will with yours. A lot of people in my collective can do magic. You have daisies for positivity, hope, increase, and then I have an orange rose for that love of life, that passion, that creativity, and that drive to achieve that we can unlock when we do our shadow work. All right, from the Enchanted Map, I have Solitude. Okay. And your Dark Mirror, this is a good oracle for finding out what our shadow work is. Masquerade and Colorless Angel. Oh, you're an emotional masker. I think you likely learned not to react in ways that other people can see. That is frequently an after effect of having been emotionally abused or having been in a relationship with a punishing partner, sometimes a narcissist, sometimes a sociopath, sometimes a garden variety jerk. But it became unsafe for you to show what you were really feeling, and so you have a tendency to put on a bright and happy face. Solitude is also feeling very isolated. It can be actually physically being alone. Oh, solitude. Think of being alone as meaning you are all one and in total harmony with everything. The greatest treasures are those that wait silently during your quiet times. That always freaks me out when I get those echoes. If you are alone, stop viewing it as a punishment. View it as an opportunity. It is better to learn how to really enjoy your own company than to be with the wrong person. Something over here keeps trying to catch fire on me, so excuse me as I reach over the flame. Roses are highly flammable, by the way. I do a lot of this type of magic, so I know what can catch fire. Okay, I have pride. See, I think you're feeling insulted by being single. Like maybe your happiness. Like maybe you think that you're not being allowed to have the things that other people have. Commitment. And then great achievement. Great achievement and commitment. Oh, message that I don't like to convey comes with your personal happiness. Your true partnership will come to you when you have finished healing. And that problem with emotional masking is that sometimes you've learned to mask from yourself. There's a lot of denial involved in that particular card. This is not a criticism. This is the work that we need to do in order to be happier, to have better lives. What else have we got for pile number 4? Let's see what's going on here. This is Spellcaster's deck bringing us the predictive spread. The moon in reverse is clarity. Natural forces at work as well. Great achievement and commitment. Okay. Judgment in the upright is being called to your life's purpose. It is clarity and truth and epiphanies as well. Is being raised up from the darkness and shown the light with... Sorry about that. I keep running out of storage room. So the King of Cups is the foundational card. That is one of the cards for loving and kindness and nurturing. I have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, which is something not working out at the moment. 7 of Pentacles in reverse. I have the King of Swords in the upright. 4 of Wands in reverse. Hanged Man in the upright, the Star in the upright, the 9 of Swords in the upright, Ace of Pentacles in reverse, 5 of Wands in the upright, King of Wands in the upright, Temperance in reverse, 7 of Cups in the upright, 10 of Pentacles in the upright, Queen of Swords in reverse, Page of Swords in reverse, 3 of Wands in the upright, Ace of Swords in reverse, and then the Knight of Wands in the upright. Okay, so group number 4. We are working on, it does appear, and by the way, if this does not describe you, this may not be your pile, because solitude and feeling isolated and as if you were denied true connection is one of the things that you're being asked to heal. You are not, in fact, being denied that connection. You are being asked to go back and to examine why you have likely been allowing partners into your life who are not worthy of you, who did not treat you properly. The way that you learned how to mask your feelings so much is that you have been likely surrounded by people who could be punishing and a little bit damning and a little bit, it became safer for you to hide how you feel. So you kept a pleasant face on all the time, and somewhere in there you started to lose the ability to really understand what was going on within. You are being asked for your formative damage work to go back and to examine that, to find out where it came from. Why did you begin to believe that was something that should be present within a relationship? Truly, if you have to hide who you are in a relationship, the chances are good that you are not in the right relationship. Now, can people overcome relationship difficulties? Can people have kind of matching formative damage issues? And the struggle is real today, trying to find storage on my phone. So people can have matching formative damage issues and they can heal while in a relationship, but both partners have to be willing to go towards it, and it doesn't happen that frequently. Most of the time, by the time couples are seeking counseling or therapy, they've frequently done a lot of damage to their connection as it is, and sometimes it is better to let go and to move on, because sometimes when we heal with people, we do outgrow them. Now, that does not appear to be the case here. Actually, what it looks like is that you're increasingly angry over the fact that other people seem to have things that you don't, and you're wondering what the holdup is. Like, why are you, it almost feels like you've been given this life's purpose. That's the judgment card, that's the Archangel Gabriel's card, and you're not allowed to have what other people have. That's not the case. That's not the case. And if you are still viewing being alone as an affliction, as a punishment, that is actually an indication that there is something left to heal. Because you wouldn't associate being with another person as something that you'd want the right person. You'd want the right person. And just because you do want a person doesn't mean, oh, you automatically want the wrong person. But if you're being held in solitude, it is not because you've been put in the deep freeze for the rest of your life. It is that you may have lost your identity to a relationship that took away a feeling of personal power. You are still being asked to love yourself, to face the truth of perhaps past connections, and what caused you to accept people into your life who were not worthy. The whole pride thing, it's envy as well. You may be looking at what other people have and thinking that I don't have that and therefore I am being punished. I don't trust my spirit guides. I get this as a theme with my collective kind of a lot. They didn't get what they wanted quite yet, and so they've become increasingly furious with their guides. And it can be very difficult. It can be difficult to understand that it's not a punishment and it is not a judgment when we are not given what we're asking for. It is an indication that there is still something to be accomplished. You may be needing to confront more of your truth about what you truly deserve and where you want a relationship in your life. You may have focused on relationships in the past as your primary focus, and that is unfortunately codependency. If you are being held in a solitary energy and it is a kind of almost against your will and you're becoming increasingly frustrated with it, try to understand all that is being done is you're being asked to be by yourself so that you'll be comfortable and happy by yourself. And then will you get a person? Usually. It's very unusual for people who are asked to fulfill a life's purpose, to be there for other people, to be denied that which they're helping other people find. The universe is not actually cruel. Our spirit guides are not actually cruel. Sometimes it is simply not the right time. And the more we desire something, the more we focus on it, the more we fixate on it, the greater an indication is that, well, you might have lost the plot a little bit if you think that's more important than your life's purpose and your life's journey. And that whole masking thing, you need to be by yourself so that you have full access to yourself again. It is an indication that you are still overcoming. You hide your feelings from your partner. You do. You hide them from other people. That is one of the indications here, is trying to. This is the mind over matter card. This is cutting yourself off from your emotions sometimes, and as a protective device. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Look at my face. Everything's fine. But inside, there's hurt feelings. There's difficulty. One of the ways that you learned to approximate healing was to never let somebody else see you flinch. And in a good and healthy relationship, you should be able to express, hey, that really hurt my feelings. Please don't do that. And accept that the other person will, if they say, I don't care, then they don't belong in your life. But if they are a good and a worthy partner, they will take that that will inform their choices going forward. And it is a risk. Being able to be your authentic self, both with yourself and with others, is the thing that will bring you the love that you're desiring. And how do you address formative damage that has constructed a bit of a facade around you? And it's not the same thing as being a false person. It's not. What it is you lost a feeling of safety around everybody else. And so you learned simply to be a bit of this solitude card, and this solitude, this is depicted as almost being a fortress. Like it's a tower unto itself with brick walls and very few windows. If you lock yourself away for safety's reason, you never truly are with somebody. And that's a little bit the lesson of being by yourself in order to rediscover yourself. And how do you do that healing work? It's just allowing yourself to feel, to express your feelings to yourself first. What are you dissatisfied with? What are you happy about? Where, like, it's regaining entrance into your full emotional world so that you can have a full emotional experience, quite frequently with another partner. This particular read does appear to be about, like, your personal happiness is at a low ebb. And it is because you're just by yourself. And you kind of, like, you're not sure if you want to be, and sometimes you are sure that you want to be, and then sometimes you're just, there's confusion, there's pain, there's anger, there's a lot going on there about you're angry with the divine. You're angry with the divine. And it can be understandable. It just won't change the past. And the only way for the future to change is for us to have a different experience in the present so that we have a different experience in the future. You are being asked to be by yourself until you're fully healed. And you're so sick of the word healing, it makes you angry. It makes you angry because, and you're not making this connection that is very close to achieving the work that you need. You're angry because deep in your heart, you know you did nothing to deserve this. But you're directing that at the divine versus the experience that kind of birthed you into this world, learning to repress your feelings and to hide and to mask and to put up a front and use humor sometimes as a defense mechanism. I do that too, everybody. I think there's a saying that all comedy is tragedy plus time. Don't make light of your experiences. And again, if you feel yourself becoming angry with the divine, with spirit guides, with something unseen, remember that anger is, we're not meant to be puppets. We're not meant to, like, constantly be a sky principal takes care of things for us and there's a hall monitor. Get angry at the actual source. Get angry at the actual source, and remember, it is not so that you can live in the energy of fury, but so that you can overcome and release it. And to know that if you don't have what you want in the present right now, if you are too alone, if you feel too challenged, if you feel like you're watching everybody else have the life that you wish that you had, and your response is, well, screw them. Like, why am I even here? Why won't they do anything for me? Remember, this is doing something for you. Stop viewing your solitude as a punishment and instead view it as a gift to truly get to know yourself, to know what will make you happy. Because if you are not happy by yourself, nobody else can ever make you happy. They can't be Sherlock Holmes figuring out the mystery of your happiness. Even the best intentioned partner, even the best person, if you don't know what makes you happy, you cannot actually be happy in a relationship. You can be fleetingly happy, but it will go away. It will go away because true happiness is innate. And if you are angry about having to be alone, and why does everybody else get a person? And first of all, their relationships may not be healthy. Secondly, you don't know what's coming for them. Thirdly, they have their own experience. You are being asked to examine your life to truly find how to be happy without it being dependent on another person. And that is not the same thing as being told you will never be happy with another person, but rather start from happy and you will become happier. And you're not being scolded and you're not being shamed for your unhappiness. But you don't realize this, your anger is a deflecting tool. When you start getting angry at other sources, it is because you have anger with the formative experience, and you are recognizing, and you get that thing where you hide your feelings even from yourself. You're very angry at the people who did this to you. And you don't feel good when you're angry. And you don't know how to have protective anger versus like flames on the side of my face, burn it to the ground anger. That's the balance that you're seeking. And how do you do that? You find the things to do that you enjoy. And doing things by yourself, by the way, is very, very, very freeing. If you can have fun by yourself, you can have fun all the time because you're always with you. It is not a punishment. It is not a punishment. But you, like, there's been tears, there's been recrimination. You get confused. You get confused because there's a couple of cards here that suggest you're kind of a true believer. And that's why it even makes it more difficult for you to understand, why can't I have what other people have? It isn't a judgment. It isn't a judgment. Even if it feels that way, you are being given the opportunity to truly be joyful by yourself. And that is a tremendous gift, because once you are joyful by yourself, no person can ever permanently take it away from you. They can't make it for you, but other people are not meant to. They can't ever entirely take it away from you. So the way that you're being asked to heal is to understand that your anger is not directed, it's being misdirected at a divine power versus a circumstances that were made by people making choices. Get angry at the circumstances if you need to, but release it as soon as you can so that you can simply understand yourself. And then if you are just very, very unhappy by yourself, ask yourself why. Because that is usually an indication of not adequately liking yourself. If you like yourself, if you love yourself, you can have a grand old time by yourself. And you can date as much as you want if you're getting too lonely. But if you're being denied a true connection, it is not because you're being given a terrible and sad fate. It is because you still have healing to do. You're being asked to find the ways to simply be happy by yourself, because other people have ended up with too much power over you and hurt you over and over again, and you're incredibly loving. And you're actually, part of what makes you so angry is you're very happy just as a person. A lot of the time, your base setting would be joy, and you just want to share it with another human. You've let the people who are undeserving in, and you let them stay. And the divine wants to free you from that. That's all. You're not being punished. And how long will this take? Well, we have great achievement and commitment. It's right on the other side of simply embracing your life, enjoying it. Find the ways to celebrate simply being alive as you are, even if you don't have what you want. And there's a good reason for that. There should always be something that is not within our grasp. There should be. There should be something driving us forward that we wish to achieve, that we wish to experience, to keep us going on our path forward. And that's growth. That's growth. Everything that you're craving is, you want to come to rest and take root. And you're entitled to that feeling of safety. But you view things like being set and defined and determined as that's your goal. Like this is what will happen, and I will build from this particular picture for the rest of my life. You have a purpose. You will not have an unvaried experience. You'll have people come and go in your life. And that doesn't mean partners, but it does mean people who might need your help. Please, please, please try to simply lean into the fact that your solitude is not about being in solitary confinement. You are being held in a particular energy until such time as you have full power over your happiness. And it is simply because other people still have too much of an impact on your happiness, on your self-worth, on your self-view, even looking at other people and saying, why do they get what I don't have? Am I like, you think it's about being judged versus, and some people don't have very healthy relationships. Please keep that in mind. Like everything that you're looking and seeing everybody else having, you're assuming it's one thing, and it can be full of dysfunction. It can be the thing that will have them coming back lifetime after lifetime. Some people have great relationships. I'm not like painting them all with the same brush, but that's to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You're being given the opportunity to create everything that would make you happy by yourself, so it's within your control, so that the next time you fall in love with somebody, the next time, and it could be current, the next time that you are in love with somebody, they will no longer have the power to destroy your innate happiness. And what happened to you, I believe, in your formative experience was because you are a naturally happy person. You likely had a punishing person as a caretaker. It may have been multiples, and you may have been bullied as well. People attacked you when you were happy and made you hurt and made you sad, and they had power over you. You're being asked to remain alone, not because you will stay alone, but because until such time as you establish your happiness, it is still too dependent on another person. And that commitment card's right there. It's right there. You're not far away. Release the anger. Let it direct it at the right area. Understand. Look at what you think as an affliction as being an opportunity to make a true and lasting happiness that is not in the control of another person. And is that true shadow work and formative damage and inner child work? Yes, it is. Because you came to this world as a person who is vibrant and vivid and perfectly prepared to be happy. You were damaged in your formative experience, and now other people have had the ability to take away your feeling of happiness by judging you in your own mind. Like if somebody does something, they're angry, if they withdraw their love, if they abandon you, you think it is a judgment of you versus, well, they've got their own stuff going on and I'm still happy. You are being given this opportunity to have full control over your personal world. Please, the only thing left to heal is the mindset that that is a punishment. And then you're golden and you're graduating and there's a lot coming to you. Thank you so much for joining me. That must have been a super important message, because whenever like something interrupts me, I think it was 4 times, I always know there's something going on. Please embrace the possibility of your truest happiness and your truest potential. And you're not going to be alone much longer. You're not. Think of being alone as an opportunity to have absolute joy and happiness. And somebody else can come to that and increase it even more. But somebody else can never enter your picture and take it away again entirely. That is the thing to absorb as the lesson. And once you do, you will be healed. Take care. Be well. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to book me for a private reading, there's information on how to contact me in the end credits and in the description box down below. Heal and you will flourish.